Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Canadian Football Central's CFL content for the fans, by the fans. And we got another signing coming up as Dejon Brissett will sign over with the Calgary Stampeders. Now, for starters, Rick, do we know how long this is?
That I do not.
Okay, actually,
While you talk, I can look.
Actually, hold on a second. I see it in the 3-9 article. Just talking about, again, because we're just for context, we're making these recordings during the tampering window, just because these have to go out. It looks like it's going to be a 2-year deal. Well, if anything has changed, it'll actually say in the title of this video. We'll be more clear on there. But it looks like it's going to be a 2-year deal, just at the time that we're recording this. And so I think this is a bit of an interesting one, as he had been with Toronto for about
a 2-year deal.
five seasons. And with his kind of this last year being kind of probably his best year, 907 receiving yards, gets 3 touchdowns, and average 14.0 yards on average. But again, kind of 907, just his best in terms of those numbers there. And so, yeah, he does well with Toronto. He's a national, as he was born. Despite going to school in Virginia, he was born in Mississauga, Ontario. So, good national talent. He had went... and it's funny, with his time in college, he had played mostly for Richmond, but kind of finishes with Virginia. Plays four seasons for Richmond, with kind of his third year being kind of the year he played the most, with 896 receiving yards that year, as well as 7 touchdowns. Then his last year with Virginia, he only starts 2 games, only gets 18 yards on just 2 receptions. And so just kind of didn't get a ton of time with Virginia, but it was enough to at least get him in with the Argonauts, where he has been kind of ever since. So I'm curious to see, this will be interesting for him, because this will be kind of his first real change of scenery within the CFL. And Calgary's a team that really kind of could use some extra receivers. Obviously, they have Reggie Begelton, but they got to keep him healthy, unlike last year where he was in crutches for a lot of the year. They have Jalen Philpott over there. And so it's going to be interesting seeing Brissett kind of join that and see how well he does with a guy like Vernon Adams. And so I'm curious, because he had done well. And again, in 2024, he was named the most valuable Canadian in the 111th Grey Cup after catching 3 passes for 45 yards and recovering a onside kick, winning his second CFL title in the process. So he's done well in that regard, has a bit of a winning pedigree. So what do you think about this move, Rick?
So I'm curious to see which one of the 6 receivers is not going to be starting, because you have Reggie Begelton. Yeah, he only played 2 games. He had 65 yards. Jalen Philpott had 830. Clark Barnes, who had 601 and 14. Tevin Jones, who had 731. And then Eric Brooks, who had 824. Now you bring in Dejon Brissett, who had like 900 and something yards.
Yeah.
There is potential for 5 receivers to be over 500 yards, if not 6, this upcoming season.
So it all just kind of depends on how Calgary does their deployment.
But like everyone says, everything looks good on paper until the season starts, and then all that shit goes down the toilet.
Don't tell that to Elks fans.
Why is this going to be year 2 of misery?
No, well, no, I just say that just because Ed Hervey just loves throwing that money around, and he did it another year. Didn't work out last year. Didn't kind of get where they want, but they've been making some strides. I'll give them credit where credit's due. So it'll be interesting to see how they do over in Edmonton, but. I'm curious to see where Calgary ends up, because Calgary has been very cautious this offseason in the sense of, in my opinion, they haven't done – it's not that they haven't done anything. I just don't think they've done as much as a lot of other teams. I think this move is good for them, but I'm just curious to see, again, like Calgary, in a year they're hosting the Grey Cup, I expected them to be a bit more aggressive. But then again – that was also the year, I say that as a Bomber fan, knowing that my Bombers, the year they hosted the Grey Cup, kind of took a step back. So I'm curious to see where Calgary kind of ends up, they went on a bit of a heater near the start of this past year. So I'm curious to see if they kind of go on a winning streak like that. Saskatchewan, despite kind of losing some talent, still looks to be very good. BC still looks to be doing very good. Winnipeg is looking to make big strides over where they were last year. And Calgary, I have to imagine that there's still no doubt that playoffs and doing well in the playoffs is going to be a goal for the Stampeders. So we'll have to see how they do. But that's pretty much all I got. Is there anything else you got there, Rick?
No, sir.
All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. Make sure you guys leave a like, share it around, and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, if you guys haven't, make sure you guys join our Discord. Link in the description below to our Discord where we discuss all things CFL, NHL, all sorts of sports stuff. So go check it out. And before we get going, well, actually, I shouldn't say before we get going. I already talked about the Discord. Before we get going, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.